and he's in that chair. And I was like, oh my God, I can't grab Stephen Sondheim's shoulders.
Yes, you
And
can.
I can't sing directly into his face. There's no way. So I was like, okay, I'll choose someone else. And then I was like, but the lighting.
Today's guest is Broadway excellence personified, a Tony Award winner whose career has spanned beloved revivals, original hits, and cult classics. You've seen him bring heart and humor to the Book of Mormon, raw emotion to Spring Awakening, and even earn a Tony for his unforgettable turn as Jamie in Company. And for the deep cut fans, yes, that was him on the original Gossip Girl. He's graced stages across the country, released original music, and proven time and time again that he's one of the most versatile and compelling performers working today. Now he's about to take on one of the most iconic literary roles of all time, Jay Gatsby, in a brand new international production of The Great Gatsby in South Korea. Please welcome the brilliant and ever-evolving Matt Doyle.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This will be great.
You bring me joy. I am just already so obsessed. So
Oh,
before
please.
we dive into the deep end, I have some
Yes.
questions I had to ask.
Yes, please.
What is one thing that people get wrong about you?
Oh gosh, I think because especially when I was younger, I have a little bit of a Bambi look to me, you know? And I think some people approach me as if I'm fragile or I'm going to be just really, really sweet, like painfully sweet, you know, and like
Correct.
shy. And I am so blunt and forward. And it's never meant to be mean. I'm just from Massachusetts originally, and my whole family is that way. And we just say exactly what's on our minds.
You're not a masshole, though.
I am a full masshole. I mean, but massholes in Massachusetts are not massholes. We're just like, this is how we talk to one another, you know, like this is what we feel. And then sometimes I've had a few, you know, directors and friends over the years just be like, you know, Matt, you don't have to say everything that comes to your mind.
I think you should.
I do tend to, and that usually catches people off guard because I think they see this like, you know, like bink bink, like I'm gonna, you know, be the like sweet little cherub, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I have an edge.
I love it, though, because I think I see you and I'm like, you give me Disney Prince vibes.
Well,
so
it's Bambi, Disney Prince. I'll go with either.
Okay. Blair or Serena?
Oh God. Well, I don't know because Blair. Oh, yeah, Blair.
I love that you even tried to go anywhere else. When I've heard you
I
blatantly
know.
say like Blair is the one.
Blair's the one.
Blair's the one.
Blair's the one. Blair's
It's true.
awesome. Come on.
I mean, also Leighton Meester, just
She was
She doesn't
so
wrong.
good on that show.
so good, so nuanced,
Yes.
so sweet, but also she also had that edge
She
to her.
owned that character. I mean, she was so perfect in that role, and she was also really funny on set. I loved being around her. Everyone was incredibly kind. That's my favorite. Like, I got gossip on all the shows I work on, but that was the one show that whenever I showed up, people were so kind and like, come hang out in my dressing room. And I was like, I can't hang out with you. You know, just like so nervous. And they were so sweet. And Leighton was really funny on set. She was the goofball and kind of just the one that would make the others laugh. And I had such a weird, like, almost, am I maybe straight crush on her?
I think everyone feels that way.
Yeah.
Like absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you were not Gossip Girl. This is not a spoiler because if you're just watching the original Gossip Girl now, like come
So
on.
funny.
Come
Oh
on.
my God.
But I know you were not, unfortunately.
I was not.
But why couldn't you be?
When I got that script, by the way, because I was barely ever on the show. I did like
We
8
talked
episodes.
about you a lot.
They talked about me so much. So a lot of people think like, you were like a really big character because I was brought up so much. I would be watching episodes at home and be like, they're talking about me. This is so surreal. But I'm like barely on. And when I'm on, I'm like, hi, Jenny. And that's it.
You guys
Like,
didn't even kiss. There was
know.
no love.
I
It was a
know.
different
It was a
time,
different
though.
time, and there were a lot of like, we can't kiss, we can't touch, you know, which is unfortunate, but we've come so far. And I know that Josh, the showrunner at the time, it was one of his biggest regrets, and he was so sweet because he, as a thank you to me, years later, he brought me back for the final episode of the new Gossip Girl reboot. And I'm on it with like Andy Cohen. It is so strange. I'm just saying like I'm explaining what happened in the original Gossip Girl. It's some of my worst acting ever
I
because
don't believe
I'm
that for
just
a second.
listing facts, which is
Facts.
like,
Your
yeah,
exposition, and I
yeah,
like it.
just exposition.
It's so wild watching the Gossip Girl I grew up watching was your Gossip
Oh my
Girl.
God.
And so watching the new one where I mean, I was it like it wasn't a Samsung, it wasn't like a T-Mobile flip
Oh
phone, but it
yeah.
was something like that.
Yeah, no, we fully had like Motorola Razors on the original one. No, not even joking. It was like, I don't think there was an iPhone on it until like the last
No.
season.
And now it's like, oh, well, you could really ruin someone's life in like 12
In
seconds.
12 seconds
It's
because
scary.
we didn't like when the first one started, Twitter was like just starting, just starting. And I remember even when Twitter started, there was somebody that tried to be a like Broadway gossip girl, and it was like,
Oh.
I don't even know what it was called. It was like Broadway Secrets or something like that. And they were like, saw Matt Doyle and Jonathan Groff walking down the street. Are they dating? And we were like, no.
No.
I was
I
like,
kind of wish
absolutely
you
not.
two had. Do I did you also
I'm
wish that?
of course I do. Who doesn't wish that? Jonathan Groff is the greatest man on earth. He's so
Honestly,
sweet.
correct.
He is the most wonderful human being. I don't even think I'm like romantically into him. I think he's just the greatest presence in the world that you're just like, "Oh my God, I just love you. Be a part of my life."
That is so sweet. So, who is your Broadway crush? Past or present?
Past or present? My first Broadway crush, without a doubt, was Gavin Creel, and I saw him in Thoroughly Modern Millie. I know, and I miss him
Let me just
so
ugly
much.
cry.
Well, what's so crazy is we were just talking about, dating Jonathan Groff, and Gavin is like the other person that I can say that I've met, and every single time he was so generous. He never saw anyone as anything other than a peer, and he was open to learning from someone, even if they just moved to the city, and also, obviously, giving his bits of wisdom as well. And I always joked about like when him and Jonathan dated, was it just like, we have to go share this. Like we can't be selfish. We can't
Right.
we can't keep
Correct.
this to ourselves. They're just really, really genuinely wonderful people. And yeah, he was definitely my first Broadway crush. I don't know if I have a Broadway crush right now. I think that'd be weird if I did.
No, I feel like I'm trying to make the show into like a dating show.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
really, but I'm like,
yeah.
who do you have a crush on?
Who do you have a
Look them
crush on?
straight in the camera. Be
Yeah,
like,
like
I
let
want
them
this.
know.
I have openly stated my love for Hugh Jackman,
I
Aaron
mean,
Tveit,
fair.
oh,
Both fair.
Jeremy Jordan.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
just trying to put
I
put it
definitely
out
have
there.
like a voice talent crush on Jeremy Jordan. Oh my God. Especially lately. I mean, he's just been able to share it so well with Gatsby and with Floyd Collins. And I'm just like, you freak, you masterful technician. It just does not
Masterful.
end. And it is so crystal clear. And watching him work and watching him how he navigates it, I'm just like, I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the only man I would go and see pretend to be in a cave.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
why? For what purpose? When people do that thing
And
with
he's like
this
on a lawn chair.
I know, and I'm like, I will okay. Jeremy Jordan,
Just
do whatever you
sing.
want.
Yeah.
Just sing. Okay, going back really quickly.
Yes.
I know you have like so much love for Gavin, and I want to hear, do you have any like fun stories that maybe you just when you think about it, think about that, you just smile?
Yeah, I think, there was the first time that I met him, I was so, so nervous. I probably was like 20 years old. And
So like 2 days ago.
yeah,
Cool.
God,
Cool, Matt.
I wish. And he saw me in a concert at Birdland. And somebody, mentioned, oh, Gavin's here, casual, not a big deal to them. But I lost my mind because when I saw him in Thoroughly Modern Millie, my parents, of course, were like, wow, that's Sutton Foster. And I was like, yeah. But did you see that guy? Did you hear that voice? And I just listened to him every single day in high school, and I would bring, What Do I Need with Love from Thoroughly Modern Millie into my vocal coach and be like, I need to sound like him. Like he was my inspiration for sure for a while. And I got to sing a song for him. So nervous. I mean, I remember like shaking as it was happening. And he came up to me after the show and he just was so kind, didn't even skip a beat and was just like, hey, oh my gosh, I've heard so much about you and I've heard you're so talented. And my God, you definitely lived up to that. And now I see why. And I was just like, I don't know what to say to you.
I feel like you blacked out and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hi.
Absolutely. But, no, he was always so wonderful, so kind, so generous over the years. He was one of the people that sent a text, the year of my Tonys that was just like, "You're gonna win," as soon as he saw me in the show, and he was just everyone's greatest support system. It was a really such a loss. It's such a loss.
I thank you so much for sharing that,
Yeah.
first of all. And what's funny is, whenever I'm prepping for an interview, I try to talk with a lot of people who know the
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And I will say that everyone I talked to had very similar things to say
Yeah.
about you. About
Oh
you.
my god, about me? I thought you were
Yes.
gonna say about Gavin. I go,
No.
"Yeah." Oh my god, that's
No,
so
about
kind.
you. Everyone
Wow.
says that you lift people up, that you are kind, you're welcoming and open, and you make people better. So I
Oh.
don't know if people give you your flowers like that, but they should, because I know it has been a year.
It's been a
It's
year,
been a
for
year.
sure, and that means a lot. I think I grew up in this business, and it's funny when I think back on, like, Spring Awakening days and everything because I kind of had the, like, misfortune and fortune at the same time of being a kid on Broadway because the fortune is, oh my god, my career changed, and I've had this life-changing event, but the misfortune is it was high school backstage. So you live out all of your awkward moments and your immaturity and your chaos in a professional setting when you're meeting your heroes and the people that you want to impress and you're stumbling constantly in front of them. I mean, think about your college experience or your high school experience and those moments that you like go like, "Oh god, I can't believe I did that." It like keeps you up at night every now and then, like a flashback comes
It
back. You're
hurts.
like, "Should I call that person?" I have that from Spring Awakening, but we are all family now, and we've all had that moment with each other if we see each other on the street, and we'll be like, "I was thinking about this moment," and I adore them all, but it is definitely it's been a learning process for me along the way to make sure that I live up to the heroes of mine. I've gotten to witness people like Jonathan Groff and I can accept that I will never be the Jesus Christ that he is. But I'm also like just so grateful that he's been able to show me what kindness is, what leadership is. Gavin was able to show me what generosity is and you try to carry that over and make sure that you stay humble because you come to the city and everyone's talented. Everyone is working their asses off here and pushing so hard, and it humbles you really, really quick. Yeah.
I yes, correct. And I think one thing that popped into my head when you said that is, you come to the city and everyone really is so
Yeah,
talented. And I mean, I know so many people, so many of my peers have been working for so long and are
I know.
still not where they want to be.
Exactly.
And at a certain point, it's hard because you go, is it me?
I know.
Am I not talented enough? Am I not what they're am I too skinny? Am I too fat? Am
Yeah.
I not old enough? Am I too old? There's so many things that just get in my head
Yeah.
that I find myself in constant conversations like this around being an artist because it's never I mean, of course, to a degree it is us. Like I will never complain about something if I have sides and instead I went and saw like Operation Mincemeat, which I
Right.
love,
Yeah.
but if I went and did that and I was shouting and shouting, dancing, karaokeing all night, and then I didn't show up prepared, that's on me for an
Right.
audition. But if
Right.
you're doing everything you're told you're supposed to do and you still don't
And you
get
feel
it,
like you're knocking it out of the park too? Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
is rough.
It's rough, and that business the business has done that to me over the years, and even after great successes, and, I remember after the Book of Mormon, I really thought I was done, and I thought I was out, and I had had this huge success, by, taking over Nick Rouleau was there for a little bit, but essentially taking over for Andrew Reynolds and being there for a whole year, and I turned down 2 years on the road and thought I was gonna, take this big risk and go out there and, just get something new and hopefully originate a role on Broadway. And I had all these things that were coming up and shows that were possibilities, and none of them happened. And then every audition that I thought was great, just no response. And I was so miserable and I was so depressed and I started losing my voice from the stress and just thinking like I had just ruined my life. And I was like, why am I doing this? So I totally took a step back and I wrote comic books for a bit, and did that actually professionally. paid my rent. I became a personal trainer and worked at Barry's Boot Camp,
And
which
you
is
made good money
I
doing
made
it.
very good money doing that. I made more money doing that than I would say 3 out of 4 of my Broadway shows. And so I was like, "Oh." And I have to say that that was a huge eye-opening experience for me because what it did was it relaxed me as an artist because once I was able to prove to myself that I don't need this to survive. This is not my survival. This is something that if it works out and I have a successful year or a really incredible moment with it, that is thrilling and everything that I worked for and dreamt of, but it is not my survival. It's not what defines and that was really tough for me to understand until I took a step away and also just realized that there's bullshit in every business, you know?
Correct.
There's nonsense and chaos in every single business and drama and weird backstabbing and it's like really where you land. And so just accepting that and accepting that there's drama everywhere and that it's always going to be tough no matter what field you fall into allowed me to kind of come back into this world with more open arms to the downside and being more prepared for that, honestly.
There are 2 things that came to mind when you said that. Thank you for sharing, first of all,
Yeah,
because
oh,
it's I
absolutely.
know you are very candid about mental health, but a lot of people are
Yes.
not.
Yes.
And so I never expect anyone to share because these things, it's not like, oh, it's just a fun story. I'm like, no, this is your life. And
Yeah.
these are things that are painful that a lot of therapy has to help
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
uncover.
Absolutely.
2 things come to mind. One is the idea that if there's something else you'd rather be doing
Yeah.
other than being an artist, you should go do that.
Yeah.
I've been told a lot. I've also told people that a lot,
I know.
and I don't think it's necessarily
I don't think it's
fair.
necessary or true, and I find myself doing it too, where I'll be like, "Oh, well, tell them to get out." Yeah,
Yes.
if your kid's interested, I'm like, "What an awful thing for me to say," but I'm doing it out of like, trying to have humor about the downside of my business, which is that it's really hard and it never gets easier. I want to be very clear about that. There are perks, there are things that come along. Having a Tony has been wonderful, but like, it doesn't really change things. It's still the same chaotic competition that I came into when I first got here and just as confusing and it just all kind of becomes relative in different ways. But yeah, I think that lifting up young performers is something that I'm trying to focus on doing and encouraging them versus saying, "Oh God, choose something else," you know?
I think back on those. I think back on when I've said that to people and been
Yeah.
like, I was not in a good headspace.
Well, you think
That was
you're
not nice.
protecting them. You think
Yeah.
you're protecting them because it's reflective of how you feel and what you've been through, but ultimately, we're both doing this because we love it,
Yes, absolutely.
and you gotta allow people to at least, search for their passion and love, yeah.
One thing that I'm really still trying to figure out is that living a full life outside of the work
Oh, yeah.
is so wildly important.
I cannot stress that enough. Travel is important. Having communities outside of our acting world is very important. I love actors, and they are my closest friends. But um, perspective is something that you get anywhere else, and I definitely make sure that I focus on the constants in my life, like my family and the people that have been there for me for years, regardless of anything that's going on in my career.
I feel like anytime you're having a bad day, I'm like, just call Bonnie.
I
Just call
do.
Bonnie.
I do all the time. I Bonnie understands you talk about my mental health. She understands my panic attacks because I have a panic attack disorder and I also am manic depressive. And so you need if that is a diagnosis of yours, you usually have your go-tos. And Bonnie has absolutely been on the line with me. One of my favorite things that I've ever said to her, this poor girl, it was the week of tech when company was coming back after the pandemic and everything. And I hadn't cracked yet. I hadn't lost it yet. But
Yet being a
yeah,
keyword in both
exactly. Yet.
instances.
And I was doing really, really well. But I think just like the the moment caught up to me. We had waited 18 months for this. We were finally reopening. Everyone's still wearing masks. We're still testing every single day. It was still so scary. And I just lost it and had a panic attack. So I called a couple people and then I called Bonnie and she picked up and I said, "Hi, the other two people didn't answer. And she was like, thanks. Great.
Oh,
I know.
thanks.
Yeah. She was like, all right, well, I'll stay on the line with you and breathe through this. And yeah, she was so sweet and supportive. And she always is and always will be.
Wait, how did you and Bonnie meet?
We met doing a little show called Jasper in Deadland. It was an off-Broadway show, but really it was like off Broadway. We did it in a church on the Upper West Side. It made like $100 a week doing it on a
Love it.
showcase contract. I don't know how they got away with that. And she just made me laugh so hard. One of my first memories of being in the rehearsal space with her was we were asked to come up with like 3 counts of 8 of dance, that our characters would do. I don't dance. So I was like, just like
I
step
was trying to
touching and
imagine
stuff.
this,
Oh
like-
my God. It was painful. But Bonnie is also like, I don't dance either. So it was in a club, to be clear. She thought like, okay, so maybe in this club scene, my character is like Ani and just like having the time of her life. So Bonnie, for 3 counts of 8, just rolled across the floor. And I was like bowled over, like couldn't breathe laughing at it because the gall of it, first of all. And the choreographer was not laughing at
No,
all. She was
absolutely
like,
not.
let's get it together, guys. I was like, that is hilarious. That should be in the show.
Oh my gosh, that brings me so much joy, especially because like one of the main ways I know Bonnie is through Kimberly Akimbo.
Yes.
It's like Bonnie Milligan is the most unhinged Broadway performer in
yeah.
the best
In the best way.
possible way.
Fearless. Absolutely fearless. Yeah.
And I think you
And
need
she's
that.
taught me a lot too. And I do need that. And she's just taught me, I don't know, to own my choices, to take risks, to be authentic and loud and clear about my choices. I mean, she's really, really special. And anyone who's seen Bonnie in a show knows that she steals it. Period.
Absolutely. I mean, I could hear her singing about convincing children to counterfeit money any day.
Any day.
Any day.
Any day. I mean, literally offering a hand job to an underage child, and she got the biggest laugh of the show. I'm like, how did you manage that?
How?
That would be
How?
so disturbing on anyone else, but you made it lovable?
I just love this combination because I do feel that you are very Bambi, you're very Disney Prince,
Yeah.
and then you've got a best friend who does that. And
Oh
you're
yeah,
like, oh,
absolutely.
what a saint.
That's so funny. Yeah, she'd be like, he's the evil one. Trust
But it's all
me.
about appearances.
Yeah,
And I think it's
exactly.
really important to have friends who are like, you could count on them to commit a crime.
Yes.
But like
yes.
one of the jokes with the people who are really close to me, they're like, Mel, I know I could call you if I needed a getaway driver. And because I would be punctual, I'd be like, I brought snacks. The AC is running. It's great. But I could not be like complicit in a crime.
No, yeah.
I could not do that.
I don't think I could.
I say this with so much love and respect. You would not do well in jail.
I would do so badly in jail.
To be fair, I don't think either of us
badly, so badly. I have no game or swag or anything. I would just be a victim. Let's just be clear.
But I do think the reason I thought about this is I think Bonnie would do great in jail.
She would nail
Bonnie
it.
should not go to jail.
No,
Bonnie, I've never met you, but you should not go to jail.
Don't go to jail, Bonnie. But you would also like nail it. You know
She
you
would do so well. Okay, if you were in jail,
If I wasn't.
if you were in jail, respectfully,
Yes.
what got you to jail?
If I was in jail, what got me to jail? It would probably be I'm such a nerd. I build PCs and everything, and
Oh,
I'm a
you're that
huge
kinda
gamer.
nerd.
Oh yeah, I'm a
You're
big nerd,
I like it.
and I own all of the content that I do this with, but I do a lot of like gaming emulation
Right.
and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think that like Nintendo could totally like file a lawsuit against me for just like copyright infringement. Come after me.
See, I agree with that. I'm like, I would end up being in jail for like not paying my taxes properly because I
Yeah.
forgot. Or like,
Yeah.
it would never be something crime related.
It would be something like that. It would definitely be like, I just didn't open those letters because I get those letters all the time. I just thought it was, I don't know, an update. You know how you get like, this happened to me recently. This is so bad.
I'm ready.
I got in a little like fender bender recently and I was like, oh, well, that's fine. Thank God for insurance. And I just hadn't been opening my like progressive mail because I thought it just said the same thing every single
Matthew,
time.
this is
But
not
my
good.
insurance had lapsed and it had been months. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm paying out of pocket. And I've been driving without car insurance for like 5 months now. That's me.
Oh, no. Honestly, there are other things you're working on.
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know. It's mail.
it's
Mail's so
mail. I
boring.
don't like unless do you remember Blue's Clues and the mail
Yeah.
song?
Oh, yeah. Here's the mail. It never
It
fails.
makes
Makes
me
me want
wanna
to
wag
wag my
my tail.
tail.
Ah! My heart is exploding. Yeah, that was 11 out of 10. I loved that song. What are honestly, sometimes there are certain songs that just live rent free in my mind.
Yeah.
So I brought in a backpack today.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm like, backpack,
Backpack, backpack.
backpack.
Yep.
And whenever I'm lost, I think of oh my gosh, it's the map song. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
map, it's the map, it's the map, it's the map, like that. And then when I open my mail, I think of the mail
Here's the
song.
mail. It never fails. Yeah. Oh, man. Good times. Nick
Good
Jr. Bring
times.
it back. Is it still on? It's still on. I'm like, bring it back.
Bring it back. I don't know, but I want it to come back.
Yeah.
What Broadway show would you like a revival of? Like, what do you want to come back?
Ooh,
There's so
oh
many
my
good
God,
things.
there are so many good things. I feel like I was talking about this recently with somebody. Look, I'm down for a Sunday in the Park with George revival every year. I mean, I just
Correct.
love that show so much, and love getting to see different actors play that role. And it's always surprising to me what gets done with Dot and George. It's mostly Sondheim stuff, which I think Marianne Elliott has all of the rights for right now. So hey, Marianne, miss
Hi.
you. Hope you're doing well.
You are so gorgeous. Matt
Yeah.
talks about you all the
She
time.
is gorgeous. I
Oh,
love her. Oh
well,
my
dang.
gosh. I got her an
Gorgeous and
Alexander
talented.
McQueen bracelet for her opening night because I was like, this woman, it loves Alexander McQueen
I mean,
so much.
correct.
And I was like, I gotta do something for her. And she's so special. I
Matt.
adore her so much. I guess anything that she would want to, take and flip on its head. She was talking for a little bit about possibly, I feel like I'm spoiling things, but I know she wanted to maybe even do a West Side revival at one point. So, like, could you imagine that? I wouldn't be able to play a role in it, but I would be sat for that.
Same, same.
Yeah.
I love that, like, Sondheim is your sort of revival
Oh,
show
yeah, for
because
sure.
I mean, one of the things that I think is wild is, I mean, I think about your classical
Yeah,
acting
yeah.
experience and, like, your dream role was to be in Romeo and Juliet, and
Yes.
then you ended up being in West Side Story, which
Yeah.
same, same.
I've, like, almost hit Romeo in so many different ways. I played Juliet in, like, a weird not weird, it was great, a film version of it, Private Romeo, and, yeah, that was interesting, and I met Seth Numerick doing that, who did War Horse with me. We, like, shot this, hot romance lover scene and then went into playing cousins in War Horse.
Oh.
It was very confusing. And I for the longest time I was like, I just want to play Romeo somewhere. Come on, I just want to play Romeo. But it never really happened. But I gotta say, Juliet's the juicier role for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love me some Juliet. Also, I kind of want to be like the sassy nurse who comes in and is like,
Oh
"This is
yeah.
a mess."
Oh yeah. The nurse rules.
I feel like people don't talk enough about the nurse being like, "I'm just here.
Yeah.
What y'all are foolish. I'm gonna leave now."
The nurse is great. The friar's the villain. Let's admit it. Like the friar screwed up.
There's so many things that happened in that. I also think that there is something to be said for y'all couldn't have just double checked with each other. Like, is she really dead?
Or
Really?
also just like waited a few days to see what these feelings were.
Y'all have known each other 4 days. It's not that serious.
It's fast. It's really fast, guys.
Yeah, I think I just saw Anne Juliet for like the millionth time, and
Yeah.
I went, I would like to change this ending
Yeah.
because this is tomfoolery.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a lot of
absolutely.
feelings.
I know. I know. I do love it though. It's so
Same.
beautiful.
So we were talking about Sondheim.
Yes.
I feel like you've had some really magical experiences and different points in your career.
Yeah.
I think of you doing Sweeney
Yes.
off Broadway
Yeah.
and Sondheim being in the theater for that. How did you remember words?
Oh my God, that was outrageous. It's so funny because I feel like Sondheim really changed my life and also my perspective on musical theater because I wasn't always really convinced that I knew I liked to sing and I knew I liked theater, but I wasn't convinced that that's where I would fall. And I went to school for classical theater, and the way I really fell in love with musical theater was through Sondheim music because it was so narrative and everything was so specific, and every single line, every single note, every single rhythm change, every single key change mattered so much. And that's very similar to Shakespeare. Everything is on the page and you just have to explore it and dive in. And that's your job as an artist, is to pull out what the writer has put into his music. And that was so exciting to me, and I couldn't believe, the music that he had created. So, getting to work with him when I first came to the city, I was like, "Oh my god, maybe one day I'll have the opportunity just to audition for him, maybe just do a concert with him or something."
Aw.
And, yeah, I got to do Sweeney with him because he was very involved in that production, which was also hilarious because Sondheim purists are so fascinating to me because they think they know better than Sondheim himself, you know? They would walk up to him and be like, "This is not how Sweeney should be done." And he'd be like, "I wrote it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I think this is how it should be done, and it's my work." And so we did this really special production, and it was in such a small space. We built a pie shop, and we were literally on top of your table, banging forks and knives in your face and screaming in your face. And the first preview, I was so nervous because Steve was there, and I jump up onto my table to sing, "Ah Miss" before I go into Joanna, and I'm so excited, and there's this seat that I'm supposed to grab the shoulders of, and at that point, like, so many people, were coming and sitting in that seat. It was very overwhelming, but Steve's there, and he's in that chair, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't grab Steven Sondheim's shoulders,
Yes, you
and
can.
I can't sing directly into his face. There's no way." So I was like, "Okay, I'll choose someone else." And then I was like, "But the lighting." I
Correct.
was like, "I
Correct.
can't screw this up." So I just grabbed his shoulders and he just roared with laughter. He was like the most generous audience member. He loved it. It was thrilling to him, and he was a huge part of why I ended up doing Company, and his support was so important in me booking that role. So, um, that was the best introduction ever to be able to experience that because it made all of us, as actors just so much stronger because we had to break down so many barriers that we had built up for ourselves. We could not live behind the musical theater space. We had to be courageous and, grab audience members, sing directly into their eyes. It was very, very, very new for me. And I think that gave me more confidence than I would have had in terms of going into Company and taking on that, which is just so overwhelming. Yeah.
One of the things that I really loved about learning more about you is this idea of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
You had been in these incredible shows for so long. You've been working since you were 19, and it wasn't until you won the Tony for
Yeah.
your role as Jamie that you were like, "Oh, I was meant to be here."
Yeah.
Matt!
Well, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that it told me I was meant to be here, but there is something really validating in terms of like, okay, so the community recognizes the hard work that I've done. And I think that that is really, really what's magnificent about a moment like that. But I think that the imposter syndrome will always continue, and it continues for everyone. I just saw an interview with, Audra McDonald talking about that going on for her in Gypsy because she's taking on this iconic role that everyone has an opinion on, and some opinions on her version are not necessarily kind, which is insane because, good God, she's amazing. And, yeah, she gets imposter syndrome herself still. And, Joy Woods is a dear friend of mine, Tony nominee, and
Finally, I
I
feel like
know.
she should have been
I
nominated
know.
last season, but whatever. I won't
Absolutely.
fight anybody.
Yeah. But I said to her the other day, I was like, I saw her in the show and I was like, "My God, Joy, you are a star." And Joy looked at me and she said, "No, I'm a student." And I went, "Okay." I said, "That's beautiful." And I said, "But you are a star." And she goes, "I know, but I'm a student and I'm realizing how much I like need to learn, continue to learn." And I said to her, never lose that perspective because that's the perspective that somebody like Audra has. Audra is like always there, ready and willing to learn. And that's what creates her work, that she's so open and available to explore. And I think when anyone's decided that they're the shit and that what they do is gold and anything that comes out of their mouth is gold, I'm like, great. I'm glad you have that confidence, but it's limiting, And so there's a fine line. I've been an insecure mess, and really unhelpful and really self-sabotaging, but I've also come far enough now at this point to be able to trust myself as an artist and know that if I make a bold choice, that I have earned that right to make that bold choice and have a discussion about it versus be afraid of it, you know?
What is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh gosh. I say this all the time, but I really I have a tendency to be a nervous wreck. It comes with the mental health and everything. And I was in London training and I was doing I don't
Was
know.
this during your Lambda years?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. So I went to London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art and I studied classical theater and
Still cannot believe you were like, I don't need to go to Carnegie Mellon. It's
I
fine.
know, I know. I deferred from Carnegie Mellon, and I was so scared of doing 4 years in a university, and I just was like, "Oh god, I think I need to do something weird." And so at the last minute, I auditioned for that program, and then I got back to the city, and I was like, "I'm not going back to school." But when I was over there, I had this teacher, Jenny Lippman, and, she looked at me one day because I was having just, like, a breakdown of the monologue that I was working on, you know, and I was so upset and I was so intense, and I still am, but I was, like, really intense back then, like,
Mhm.
insufferable, you know, and she was like, she always would have gin with her wherever she went. She had one of those, like, folding sippy cups that she'd just, like, pop out, and it was, like, in the middle of class. You'd be, like, doing a monologue, and she'd be like, "Gin?" You know? She was like, "Loosen up." But she looked at me and she was like, "Darling, it's a play. We call it a play because we're here to play. So calm down." And I was like, "That's great. That is great advice." And I keep going back to that advice whenever I'm, just panicking about my work or questioning myself. It's like at the end of the day, we really just play dress up for a living and tell stories, and boy, do we take it so seriously sometimes, and it can be so damaging to our mental health, and it's like, "Oh my god, we're we play dress up, you guys," you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. You get to sing the fastest song known to
Yeah, exactly.
existence, and
Exactly.
that's what you get to do.
Although I will say, going out to do that song the night that Stephen Sondheim died, that was the most pressure I've ever felt in my entire life. And some now I feel like I'm able to at least have some humor about that and talk about that because what the hell? You want me to go out there and sing the fucking hardest song in musical theater the night this legend, our greatest hero, has passed away. And I would see something on my, Instagram in a second if I slurred a word on a normal night, like, well, you screwed up, you know. I'm like, if I screw it up tonight, like this would be the worst thing ever. And luckily I didn't, but the fear of God was in me that night.
Oh my goodness. What would you say from your time in company and even your time with Steven, what would you say, like, sticks with you the most after this time has passed now?
Oh, I think that we went through so much during that. COVID was brutal, and what it did to our industry was unbelievable. And I'm so happy to see it thriving again, even in these crazy times. But I think the uncertainty was so scary and so overwhelming. And we slipped back into our own dysfunction when we got back into that theater, as any space does, any workplace does. But that cast is family because of what we went through together and because what we knew we had to present on the other side. And we never really got a break in terms of the pressure that we faced. Because when we came back, we had the pressure to bring Broadway back, and we're looking out to a sea of masks. And then 5 days later, Stephen Sondheim passed. And then you get that ridiculous Jesse Green review in the field of only raves. And then there's this one outlier, and it's from the important one, which we really need to stop doing, you guys. And we just had this like one obstacle after another, and then Omicron happened, and then we finally had this victory of winning Best Revival, and then it immediately closed, and it was really tough. But the perseverance that that cast had, and the strength that that cast had, and just the admiration for the material and feeling a responsibility to give a story about community and togetherness on the other side of isolation for almost 2 years was so important to us, like, so important to us, and I think, I think about a very, very long and beautiful and difficult journey when I think about company, and I think about Steven and just how fortunate we were to have that experience as hard as it was. We we got to be there. I always said, "I just want to be opening Broadway on the other side of this," and we got to do that, and we brought Broadway back and told the story that we wanted to tell, and it's so overwhelming, but when people ask me what that Tony one was like too, I'm just like, it actually felt earned because of how difficult that journey was. I think in any other way I would have felt imposter syndrome standing up there. But because of what I went through with that production and how crazy that journey was, I was like, no, this feels right. This feels good.
Completely, completely. Where were you in your mental health when you won that Tony?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It was if they could bottle that feeling, it's elation like you wouldn't believe because you don't continue that dream when you get to this city. Like if you do, it's only for a couple years, you know. You come into the city and you realize just what how remarkable everyone is and how much every single piece has to line up for a moment like that to happen. Like people forget that I was originally supposed to be up against Danny Burstein, who would have absolutely, I do not mind saying this, would have won for Moulin Rouge. It was his time, sixth nomination. And so originally I went into that role just knowing that when I was cast, I was like, oh, it's Danny's year. Great. I don't even have to stress about this, you know? And then that happened, and all of a sudden, we were put into different seasons because of the pandemic, and then all of a sudden, people are talking and saying you might be the front runner, and it was just so unexpected and strange to even be sitting there thinking, "Oh my god, this thing that I shut down years ago in my head as a possibility is a possibility." And then to just get up there and stand in front of your community and the people that you've loved and cared about for years and worked your ass off to impress is so wildly overwhelming. But mainly, it was my family that I was thinking about, because they saw every hardship along the way and every, my struggles with mental health over the years and just being able to celebrate with them. You think you go to your parents immediately in a moment like that. That's why you're there. And their support was why I was there. So that was really special because they were out in the audience that night.
That is magical because there is nothing like being in that
Oh
room.
my gosh, it's
Oh, the
so thrilling.
joy, the love, the
Yeah,
celebration is
yeah.
magical.
Yeah, and it's an award show that genuinely impacts our industry. I mean, it's our biggest moment for advertising these shows, and a show literally can stay open or closed after the next, after that night and the next morning, and
Even with
even with
nominations.
nominations, even with a
Ugh.
win,
Yeah.
and I think that it's it's such an important night for everyone that it's not just this silly award show to us. It really does have a lot of weight and we really do respect it and feel a lot of joy in being able to celebrate each other and watch each other's performances and get excited that you might have just sold a bunch of tickets, you know? You might stay open for a few months longer. It's a tough business.
It is a tough business, and I've heard so many things about a sort of Tony's curse,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
will.
yeah.
Like the year after you win a Tony
Oh,
is like the
totally.
loneliest time. But
Totally.
you have been doing so many things,
Oh,
Matthew.
yeah.
Can you share a little bit with us?
It's been good. It's it's really wild to carry that title, and I think that, like, every musical theater actor, get your shit together with concerts. Like, that's what I will say because that has been one of the best things in the world for me as a performer in terms of being able to relax in the in between because I do concerts everywhere across the country and different cabarets with symphonies. And that's the first thing that you do after you win a Tony is you just get to book all of these different places because they're able to say they're bringing in this Tony winner. And that was a huge, huge boon for me. But yeah, things change and then things don't change. You get into a different category now, so then you're competing in a different way than you were before, and you don't get to do all the projects that you would have wanted to do before because, oh, you shouldn't do those projects, or all of that kind of stuff comes up, which is very odd. And I think the lonely year that a lot of people talk about is in relation to that, because you're waiting for something, or you have to impress in a certain way after a moment like that. And I feel like, I've just kept working, and that's kind of been my attitude, is not to be stubborn, and to just be open to new things, and to say yes. And I've said that to my agent and manager too. Like, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to be be too stubborn and turn away from projects. Like, I'm willing to take a gig, I really am. I want to work. I want to meet people. I want to stay. My casts are always my family. I'm a very not antisocial person, but I live a secluded life.
You're
I
also a
don't.
Twitch streamer, so
Yeah.
you have other things you're
I
doing.
have other things, yeah. But I like community. So yeah, if I get an offer to do my best friend's wedding at a Gunkwit Playhouse, I'm gonna say yes, sure. I'm not doing anything right now, so why would I not go spend time with people and create something fun? So not being too precious has been really important to me. But I got to do Little Shop of Horrors, and I got to do this really fantastic play called Conversations with Mother.
It was so good.
Oh, thank you,
The
honey.
funeral moment with the song, the
Oh.
way that I laughed and cried,
know.
I was not okay.
I wasn't either.
Well, thanks for doing that to me.
I know.
One moment you're shirtless, wearing like an apron, and the next I'm like, I'm not okay.
Oh my
Literally,
God.
the way that I cried all of my makeup off during that show,
Oh.
I had lashes that I had put on because I was like, I'm gonna be cute.
Yeah.
They were on my face, and I went, "Curse you, Matt Doyle."
Oh, we loved it. Like, it was just one of those shows that was like chicken soup. Right? You might have seen a similar story before, but it hit all the right notes, and I was just so happy to be involved with it. And Caroline Aaron, my God, how incredible is she?
She's
Just brilliant.
unreal.
Yeah.
And one of the things I loved about that show is it wasn't about being gay.
It wasn't about being gay. It had nothing to do with
Nothing.
it. When it started, everyone that came was like, it started, and I was like, oh, here we go. Italian Roman Catholic mother is going to not be able to accept her son, and eventually she'll accept him. And it doesn't do that at all. She figures out that he's gay pretty young, and like probably knows before even he does. But it's never the conversation. He is gay. They talk about it, but it's never the issue at all. It's the rest of the drama in their lives. And I feel like we need stories like that right now, because I don't want it to be the issue. And our current political climate certainly is making it the issue. So we need to tell stories that just show love and show aren't bringing it up in a way of like, you have to accept this because it's hard, because it's difficult. No, you accept it because that's your child and move on. Let's go.
Period.
What's the story? What's the story past that, please? So I thought that was a really special aspect about it too. I'm glad you picked up on that.
It was so sweet. I find myself in these weird places of like my dream. I love like film to be. One of my dreams is to be on like a workplace comedy, like Superstore or Parks
Yeah.
and Rec.
Yes.
Because I love the storytelling of like what are
Parks and
people in.
Rec.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
people in their everyday like. Those are the stories I want to hear.
Yeah.
And so watching Conversations with Mother, I was like, I need to somebody call my mom. Somebody get her to come
Yep.
pick me up because
Yeah.
I need help. I'm
I
tired.
need a hug. I
need a
know.
hug.
Yeah. I know. It was just a celebration of life, really, and I love that the playwright Matthew Lombardo is not afraid to admit that he has cliches in his writing and celebrates that, because he's like, I know that you just want to escape tonight and feel good. That's what my play is meant to do. Get the laughs out, get the tears out, and I think it's got a life ahead, and we might do it in some regional spaces, take it to some different
Please,
cities, and
please.
as long as Caroline's down, I'm down.
I mean,
that
her
would be
and her
amazing.
wigs, wigs are iconic.
The
Please bring those.
fastest quick changes ever for anyone. I couldn't believe what she was going through backstage. I had to just like change my shorts and my shirt, and she would
Yep.
come on in a full.
You put some gray in your hair.
There we go. On stage in
Ooh,
front of the
I
audience.
know. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I loved it. So you also have some other really feel-good projects coming
I
up, some things
do.
you've worked on. Can you share a little bit about those?
Yes, I get to go to South Korea to do The Great Gatsby. What the hell? I mean, it is so insane. This came across I I've had a really wild year and just like so much loss and so much confusion and a big transitional year for me. I went through a separation from my really really wonderful ex-partner who I'm still close with and we adore each other. But it was obviously a very painful transition and I lost a dog, so many different things and I stepped away from a project that was so important to me that I'd been working really hard on because I just needed to start taking work in front of me and it's in creative hell and I mean all of the things and I just was feeling in that pit, that pit of anxiety and confusion and wondering what the hell why do I do this to myself? And it never stops. You can win a damn Tony, you can be working and you can still feel this sense of just I don't know, of fear in that way, what is next and how do I get back on my feet? And you remember, or at least I remember, that perseverance is how I've always gotten to the joy. And there will always be these downfalls, always. It's life, and life is really hard. And we're in a really difficult time right now. And personal trauma aside, things are not that bad. And I said, to my agent manager, I want an escape because I have not left this city for about 20 years. I think the longest I've been away was when I did Sinatra in Birmingham, and that was 3 months, and I only did the national tour of Spring Awakening for, like, a month, I've not left this city, and theater is my world and dream. I don't go to LA. This is where I know I need to be. I was like, "But I now need an adventure. I need to get out of here." I was like, "If there's anything on the West End, like, I will replace in the weirdest show. I don't care. I'll do Mousetrap, like, whatever. Like, I just wanna go away, and I wanna heal, and I wanna experience something new and be inspired." And they were like, "Funny you mention that."
About that.
Yeah, it was literally the same phone call. They were like, "So, we've got this offer on the table. I don't know how you're gonna react, but would you wanna go to South Korea with this, like" they're putting together this, like, all-star American cast to open The Great Gatsby there because Mr. Shin, the amazing producer of it, who's so generous and so kind, wanted to bring it back home and open it there. It's his dream. And I was like, "Yes, done.
Done.
Yes, absolutely. Let's make it happen." And, I found out in February that the offer was there, and now we get to talk about it, and I'm like, "What the hell am I gonna do?" It's so wild. I'm like, "What?" I don't know what I'm in for. I know nothing about soul. I'm trying to find things out, I'm, like, through TikTok.
Are you
Good
gonna
research,
be
Matt.
coming back as a K-pop star?
I mean, I think so. I think that's really
That
what
feels
what it's
right.
gonna come down to. Yeah. But no, it's wonderful, and the cast is fantastic. Gina DeWall, Amber Ardolino, Tally Sessions. I mean, just really, really fantastic people that I've known for years. Tally and I did company together. He went on as Paul one night, so he's been my lover before, and now he'll be some man whose life I destroy as Gatsby.
What draws you to Jay Gatsby in particular,
I
besides destroying Tally's
Yeah,
life,
yeah,
which
exactly.
feels right?
Yeah, that feels right. I love, The Great Gatsby so much. When I first read it in high school, I think it was one of those there's like 2 or 3 for all of us that you are required reading that when you actually read them, you're like, "Oh, this is really good." This is really, really wonderful. The language especially, in that novel is just so alive and so vibrant, and I remember thinking, "I didn't know that you could write this in such a colorful way, and um, I was really enamored with the novel growing up, and especially the character of Jay because he's he reminds me a lot of myself. He's a little obsessive, and a
You're not
little.
obsessive.
I'm a little obsessive,
No.
but the way he loves and what he's willing to do to get what he wants, what he believes that he could have is really, really painful and beautiful, and I find it fascinating because he's unable to reveal the darker sides of himself, and that makes him kind of an odd character, but he's so charismatic and so interesting, and everyone's drawn to him, but he's so mysterious. There's just so many layers and colors to Jay Gatsby that's what's so exciting to me. I'm like, ooh, I want to dive into this. I want to dive into what makes him charismatic. I want to dive into when he cuts off, when he shuts down, and I will really want to dive into his love and his passion, which I think is his true story, is his need to uh break the system and somehow uh get past who he is and what he was born into and prove that he can be anything, which was the American dream. And yeah, I think it's just a gorgeous story.
I cannot
I'm so
wait.
excited. Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so excited.
I
You're
know,
going to
I
be
can't
absolutely
wait.
incredible.
And then Jeremy made these songs so high. Jeremy.
I love me some Jeremy Jordan, but I was told that he has an Android phone. So that changed a lot of things
Do you
for
know,
me.
I did Android for like the past 6 months. I'm back on iPhone, and it's because of
Okay, I love you
Korea.
again.
Because who am I gonna convince here to get on WhatsApp? I'm like, I
No
need
one.
iMessage. Yeah.
No
No
one.
one.
No one. So before we go, I loved your themes about love and kind of giving.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk really quickly about your Romeo and Juliet inspired tattoo.
Oh,
Can we
yeah.
show? I
Yes.
love.
Wait, that's actually perfect. And I haven't even thought about how much this like relates to Jay Gatsby. It's boundless as the sea. So the Juliet quote is, "My bounty is as boundless as the sea. My love is deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have. For both are infinite." Meaning, the more you give something, the more you're going to get back. And I work that way. It's what makes things so painful when I lose them. And I think it's why when loss happens for me, I feel it so intensely because my manager and agent pointed it out to me the other day because I've stepped away from Sinatra, this thing that I cared so deeply about and poured my heart and soul into, and it's a grieving process, because I love so hard, and I expect it to love me back and for everything to work out. So when it doesn't, it can punch me in the face. But I'll never stop believing that. I do believe that that's why artists create great work, is because they love what they do. And it's served me the best it possibly can serve me when it's worked out. And if it doesn't work out 9 times out of 10, fine. That's what we do, and it's crazy and difficult. But if there every now and then is a Jamie and everything falls into place, amazing. It's worth it.
You are so lovely. I'm so excited for you. You are
Thank
someone
you.
who has so much to give. You are boundless as the sea.
Oh,
And I cannot wait. I mean, do I need to go to Seoul and
oh my
go
God,
see you as
come.
Gatsby? Can we
That would
make
be
that a thing?
amazing. That would be incredible. We'll hang out. We'll do a video.
I'm one of those audience members who laughs and cries and goes, ah, ah!
Incredible. Yeah.
It's incredible, but also I'm sad for the people around me. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
You
you.
are such joy.
Oh, that's so
You're
sweet.
so wonderful. And I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you. That means so much. And before I go, I just also want to say one of the main reasons that I'm doing Great Gatsby is I met Kate Kerrigan, Nathan Tyson when I first moved to the city. I'm so excited for them. When you see artists that you have known for so long work so hard at creating new work, creating new material, which is the hardest thing that you can do in the entertainment industry, finally have this big monster success, it's just nothing could be more thrilling. And I just want to share that with them. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see you hopefully fall into the orchestra pit
Yeah.
with a bed. Fall
Right.
into oh no.
There's
I
a
can't
new
spoil
death now.
this. There's a new
Yeah,
death.
there's a new death now. Yeah, I'll be shirtless and there's blood and
Okay.
maybe I'm spoiling it, but it's what they do in London, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything.
If it's a shirtless moment in London, I got
Yeah,
it. I'm gonna
I
be
know,
on the West
Jamie.
End.
Oh, he fine.
I don't hate that. I am. This has been had to ask, and I have to go and find plane tickets to London to see a certain shirtless man.
Sure, it's on TikTok.
I mean, I think I should see it in person. That feels right. That feels right. I'm just here supporting the arts, Matthew.
Exactly.
And a shirtless. Say less.
Say less.
You're amazing.
Oh my God, you too.
This episode of Had to Ask was hosted and produced by me, Melanie Sutrathada. Filming, editing, and co-production by the amazing Joseph Loper. filmed on location at the iconic Stay Gold Suite at the Chatwall in New York City. Make sure to follow, leave a rating, and subscribe. It helps the show grow and gets us one step closer to world domination. See you next time on Had to Ask.